We're back with Risha Grant, diving into the conversation about representation. For many brands, become a checkbox, something to meet or a perceived quota. But today's consumers can tell when it's not authentic. Representation done right can deepen trust, inspire loyalty, and expand a brand's audience. Done poorly, it can feel shallow or even exploitative. The challenge is creating campaigns that reflect real stories and lived experiences. Risha, why does surface level representation fall flat with today's audience?
Because there's nothing else to back it up. I was alluding to this a little earlier. If you have this great campaign with all of these different people represented, but then I go to your website and it doesn't back it up, or I go to your store and I see no one that looks like me, or maybe you have all the products in there, but when I go to talk to someone about the product, they have no education to be able to help me make a decision. um, it's surface level. We have to educate our employees in order to talk about these things. And if I look around for someone that looks like me and I can't find that person, I'm probably not going to buy the product. Black hair care is a big thing for me. It's something, and natural hair care and all of these things are a big thing, especially in black women community, right? And so if I walk into a store and I need to buy a product and I need to talk to somebody that looks like me, if there's nobody there that looks like me, then I, at least whoever I talk to, are they going to have knowledge of the product? So if not, it's surface level and people figure it out really quick. I mean, I'm going to talk to my friend and say, hey, don't go to that store, go to this store. Don't go to that website, go to this website, because I'm looking for information and I'm looking for people that can help me. And if I don't have that, then, I'm not dealing with you. Diverse customers are super loyal. They are loyal. If they know that somebody has what they need and it works and they're knowledgeable, I'm coming back time and time again.
Yeah. I know when I was doing the advertising in the oncology space, some of the best marketing and advertising campaigns that we made were actual patients, that
Yes.
had recovered from cancer. They didn't have no experience in, acting um, or anything like that. But some of the ads, when we spoke to some of these patients that recovered from cancer that we created, I mean, they were amazing, and
Yeah.
very impactful. And I think that goes to some of the advertising you see where it's an actor. It's not real, and
Yeah.
it almost
Yeah.
probably push people away. Like I'm not.
Yeah, and healthcare. I mean, you mentioned healthcare. It has such a well, everybody feels a way about healthcare right now, but
Yeah.
I know in minority communities, it's a very scary thing. And so, being able to use real people to say these people helped me, this organization, this company, this whatever was helpful to me, it goes so far in these communities because they, I say we don't feel as if we're listened to. And then there are just so many horrible stories and stats out there to back that up, that when you can use real people, real testimonials, almost in any industry, but definitely in healthcare, it's going to keep bringing people to you because we care deeply about that.
Yeah. How can marketers make sure their brand reflects the full range of humanity?
I think that's a really good question. It comes down to, again, not being surface level, but when we dive deeper, what's happening behind the scenes, right? A lot of companies take their profits, they invest it in other places. Are you investing in a place that cares about the things that you say you care about? If I go and research and find out that you're supporting things that speak against what the culture is about, then it doesn't represent humanity, right? If you're not out there, companies speaking toward social justice issues, as much as they might hate to, there are some things that are just wrong. And knowing that my company sees this, they understand this, and they're actually saying something about it. And you don't have to go out here and just start talking about, because I would never tell a company, you don't want to get out here and jump into politics. You don't want to jump into, wars and all of these abortion and things like that. But there are some things out there that when you say we care about this, your employees know, they know you're serving a greater good. That's why a lot of companies do well that are, you buy a pair of shoes, they give a pair of shoes away
Hmm.
to someone, or you buy a shirt, they give a shirt to someone, because people want to feel like they're healthy. They want to work for companies that care about what's going on in the world. And if you actually care about me as a person, then you don't want a company to go out there and then invest in an entity that is hurting people that look like me. So if you really want to affect humanity, you've got to do that on every level. And it does take a level of courage to step out there and say, this is wrong. We do not believe in this. And we saw a lot of that in 2020. That's why it's so hurtful right now to see all these brands backing up, because we trusted them
Yeah.
and we heard them say, hey, we care about this. And so that doesn't change. Call it what you want to call it, do what you want to do. But that is never going to change. People are always going to be people. There are always going to be things out here that we need to stand up for and we need to stand against for what's right. And just because a lot of people say something is right or wrong doesn't mean that's so, right? So brands have a major they have a major responsibility in my eyes to, and not even just, I want to say responsibility, but an opportunity
Hmm.
to continue to make the world a better place. They can say no, that's not okay. You can change rules at work that you can't change in the community. You can say, guess what? We care about LGBT rights here. We care about your partner. We care about domestic partnership, even if the Supreme Court has a different opinion. So I think companies have a major opportunity to take that brand and leverage it for humanity.
Yeah. What are some of the questions we should be asking ourselves before launching a campaign?
Are we being inclusive?
Mm.
Who is our target market? Are we leaving anybody out of the target market that could affect our bottom line? Um, those questions are super important to making sure that you are just kind of what I call your head is on swivel. I've got everybody included here. I am looking for women 35 plus. I'm looking for them to live in this area, all these things. And then you want to take that again and then look at it and say, okay, what kind of women am I looking for? Do they need to fall into certain age age demographic or race demographic, or body type? What's the product? Who are we excluding? I think that's one of the most important questions you can ask yourself as a marketer, because you're leaving money on the table if you have not looked at the numbers. And I'm talking about the numbers that are out there for buying power. This is disposable income after the bills have been paid. Now, I haven't even looked at them in a long time, but I'm talking billions of dollars. We're talking trillions when you look at everybody.
Hmm.
Trillions of dollars in buying power from African American, Hispanic, women, uh, the disability community, LGBT plus community. There are major dollars that are being left on the table by companies that are not asking themselves, who are we excluding? So that's probably the most important question you can ask.
This is something I was just kind of thinking of. What should a company do if they put a campaign out and made a mistake? What do you think is the best approach for that company? Not to say to save face.
Starting five, four, three, two, one.
Something I just thought about that I wanted to ask before we go to our next commercial break. Say a company made a mistake and is facing a lot of backlash for that mistake. What do you think the best approach for that company to move forward and to overcome some of the maybe challenges they're facing because of it?
Right. I think first and foremost, transparency. You have to admit the thing. You can't bury it and act like it did not happen. You need to come out big and bold, say, we messed up. We made a mistake. We need to do better. We are, and then list the things that you're actually going to do so that it does not happen again. Because people can be forgiving, right? People make mistakes. We all know that. We expect more from brands at this, especially at this point in time, right? We're like, there's no reason for this anymore except that you don't care. But things slip through the cracks. So I think if you're consistent, if you're transparent, if you put it out there and say, we don't support this, we are so sorry that it happened. I mean, you look at Dove. Dove had a campaign, I believe it was in 2017, where they had a black woman on screen, and as she was taking her shirt off, she turned into a white woman, and it was just a weird, it was just a weird campaign to begin with. But it really got a lot of criticism on social media and across very broad spectrum. But Dove is one of the most inclusive brands out there. They took that mistake, they owned it, and then they dived into how does this not happen again? How do we actually get true inclusion? So now when you look at Dove commercials, they're some of my favorite commercials out
Hmm.
there. They're inclusive. They always make sure they've got everybody out there front and center, and people have forgiven them, and they've moved on past that. So it can happen, but I think it's important to own it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's always been, even not even in, you know, mistakes like that, but just in general and in life and making mistakes. I think the best course of action is to own the mistake and admit it and fix it. You know,
I agree.
everybody's going to make them. Nobody's perfect, but um, you know, it's just good policy all the way around. Well, we're running out
Agreed.
of time, so when we come back, we'll talk about belonging and why it might be the future of branding after a word from these sponsors.